Hello, this is Crazy Horse. We're finally out of curfew in LA. At least we were last night after 3 or 4 days of curfew following 2.5 months of lockdown. Um, I haven't checked the news. I don't watch the news. I haven't gotten any warning messages, so I don't think we're in curfew tonight. But we're watching our cities burn all over the country. Let's take a look at this video I posted. Looks like a war zone, obviously. I guess we're supposed to feel sympathy, guilt. I don't know, shame. I'm not feeling it. I'm not buying it. Uh, you know, this is pathetic. This has got nothing to do with protesting death of George Floyd or police brutality. This is looting and stealing, and understandably, the rage is built up. I mean, we've been under lockdown all over the country for 2.5 months, and people have lost their jobs, and they probably are struggling financially everywhere. Um, the rage is built up. All we needed was a match to set off the powder keg, and George Floyd's death was that match. Um, but already, I posted this article. The Lancet and the New England Journal of Medicine are already backpedaling on a couple of the studies regarding COVID. I mean, this one's about the anti-malarial drug, but I've seen others about other drugs. The narrative about the COVID being deadly, about the masks and quarantine and staying at home, social distancing. It's all fallen by the wayside. Obviously, here's L.A. Mayor Garcetti out with the protesters. I think on Wednesday, yesterday or Tuesday. No mask. Obviously, no social distancing. I still got to wear a mask to go to the grocery store. Schools, businesses are still locked down. People are still losing jobs and money. Um, and I'm agreeing with this. I think the whole lockdown and the mask thing is bullshit. And obviously, so does the mayor, who has ordered us all to wear masks and stay at home. So, great. Let's don't have that bullshit anymore. Let's unlock the businesses. Let's get back to work. This is herd immunity. These are people gathering together in close proximity, and this is what we need to do. But let's stop the charade. This is kind of hypocritical and ridiculous. And I don't want to wear a mask to go to Whole Foods. It's kind of stupid, but they make me. So I try not to go there very often. Um, you know, Take a look at these statistics over here. Let me show you this. Of the there's something like where's the statistic? Here it is. 85% of this country is white, and we're all supposed to feel ashamed and guilty over our past. My family hasn't been in this country more than about 100 years. Um, we weren't slave owners. We were peasants in Europe before we came here. We were potato farmers in Poland and in Italy. God knows what we were doing, but we were not slaveholders. We came here just as poor as anybody came here, including the black people who came here from Africa. And a lot of white people were living under the same or worse conditions in Europe as the slaves lived here. I'm not excusing it. Slavery is despicable and horrible. Um, Obviously, we're glad it's gone. Should have never happened. But that's the way the world was for, how many thousands of years of human civilization. And, you can say America is founded on slavery, but it was actually founded on getting rid of slavery, which it did. And it was founded on liberty and freedom and equality of opportunity for everybody. And it took some time. It took some time to get that for the slaves. It took that time to get that for women. And that's a success story. That's not a failure. Okay? Anybody who's telling you or is posting stuff that this country was founded on inequality for women and black people or immigrants is full of shit. That's what the whole founding of this country was about, was to end those institutions, to get women into the ability to vote and to participate in society, which they are now. And there's no slavery now, so there's no more excuse. I'm not going to feel guilty for something I had nothing to do with. My family certainly had nothing to do with. You know, we were serfs in Europe for hundreds of years before we came to America, meaning we were part of the land. We were owned by the landowner, just like a slave. If one lord sold his land to another lord, we went with it, just like the barn or the horses or the shovels or the plow. You know, so nobody had it any better than anybody else. And I'm not saying slavery didn't happen or it wasn't horrible. It was, and that's why we ended it in this country. England ended slavery a few years before America, and then America did. And we've been fighting to make it equal ever since. So I'm not going to support these people who are saying they're looting and ransacking our cities and burning them to the ground because we had slavery 200 years ago, or Jim Crow laws 100 years ago. I don't accept it. And I don't believe the Democrats believe it. I think my friends who are Democrats are telling themselves this story because they'll do anything to get Trump out of the White House. And I've been saying this since the COVID bullshit began. They'll do anything. You know, it started out Trump's a racist. That was the narrative for months, and maybe the first year of his presidency. He's unfit for the job. He's not presidential. He made some offhand comments. He's racist. He didn't condemn, supposed white supremacists, in South Carolina. Doesn't make him a racist. And this narrative that he's a racist and unfit to be president is a crock of shit that they're trying to use because they lost the election. You lost. And it looks like you're going to lose another one. And so then they went with COVID to try and destroy the economy. That's not working too well, in spite of the fact that we've been locked down for 2 or 3 months, depending on where you live. And, that now they're going back to Plan A. They're going back to the original plan, which is Trump is a racist, and we got to get rid of him. And, they're your poster boy, this guy you're lionizing, trying to make a hero out of, is not a great guy. What happened to him is tragic, and I'm sorry about it. And certainly anybody in police custody, I have sympathy for. I don't care what race they are. But this guy's a career criminal. You can see listed here, he's been in and out of jail since 1998. He spent 5 years in jail in Houston for armed robbery of a pregnant woman in her home. This was a home invasion robbery where he busted into this pregnant woman's home with his friends and held a gun to her stomach, to her pregnant stomach where her baby, her fetus was, while they threatened her life and ransacked and took everything out of her home. This is not a nice guy. And when he died, the coroner says he didn't die from choking, from having a knee on his neck. As unfortunate as that is, and as horrible as that image is, he died from a heart attack, cardiac arrest. He was high on meth and fentanyl. The coroner said he had 4 times the amount of fentanyl that would kill most people. He was on a speedball, which meant he was a raging bull. It's not very different from Rodney King. I was in the '92 riots back in when Rodney King was put through the same thing. He was also on drugs. He was on PCP, and he was driving illegally, and he was there was a warrant out for him for grand theft auto, I believe, for stealing a car. And there were 2 other guys in the car with Rodney King, and there were 2 other people with this guy, George Floyd, who weren't killed, who weren't beaten, because they complied when the officers tried to detain them and arrest them. Now look, I don't care what you say, These cops have an impossible job, and I wouldn't want it. It's a tough job, and they're out there trying to maintain the peace, trying to uphold the laws of this country that you and I rely on. This is a country of laws. Okay, if you have a redress against somebody else, if somebody breaks a contract, you take it to the courts. The whole basis of this country is the laws and the courts, and the police are the tip of the spear. They're out there protecting your property, protecting your life. If you get in trouble, you're going to call 911. Who are they going to send? A cop. And now our idiot mayor is telling us we can live in LA without cops. And they're cutting the funding to the police in LA, LAPD, by $100 or $150 million, which is ludicrous. You know, we're in the middle of a total chaos in this city with curfew and looting and robbing. And he had to ask the governor to send in the National Guard because he couldn't maintain order. And now he's saying he's going to cut funding to the LAPD and that we don't even need an LAPD. That's what he said. Let me pull up the quote for you here. LA without police will probably be good. That's what your mayor said. That's what LA's mayor said. LA without police will probably be good. It's ludicrous. I mean, what planet are we living on? I mean, this is absolutely insane. You know, he said the responsibility for George Floyd's death rests solely with the police officers involved. First of all, that's up to a court to decide. And in my opinion, George Floyd's death rests solely on George Floyd. You know, he was involved in at least 3 criminal activities when he was detained by the police. He was supposedly passing a $20 counterfeit bill. He was high on drugs. He was about to drive drunk. And then he fought the cops, resisted arrest. Those are all crimes. And if, you know, let's be honest, if the guy wasn't high on a speedball, he wouldn't be dead now. If he had complied with police, he wouldn't be dead. So you can't tell me that that cop is racist. You can't tell me all cops are racist. You can't tell me all white people are racist. I keep seeing these idiots posting stuff on Facebook saying, you know, we all have to change. Well, I don't have to change. I'm not a racist. I don't have anything against any race of people. I want everybody to have an opportunity in this country. Why wouldn't I? I want this whole country to be a safe place to live. I want everybody to prosper. We're not going to do that. We're not going to have that kind of country unless we start educating young kids, especially young black males, that there's opportunity here, that this is a country you can prosper in, that you didn't get the shaft, that white people are not against you, that the cops are not against you, they're not racist, they're trying to support you. And if you follow the laws, you're not going to meet the cops. You're not going to get your head bashed in. You're not going to get your neck pinned down by some cop's knee if you're not high and drunk and breaking laws. So how in the world, I mean, I'm beyond being amazed by this anymore. You know, if the Democrats want to push this narrative that we're all racist, that cops are all racist, I hope to God they never need to call a cop. You know, I have friends who, you know, work in the legal field, and, you know, how do they face the police that they have to work with? I don't get it. You know, the cops are not racist. Sure, there are racist people. There are racist cops. Cops are people. But you can't generalize and say they all are. It's impossible. And, you know, if anything, having to deal with the George Floyds of the world makes cops terrified and jumpy and afraid for their lives because they want to get home to their families every night. I have sympathy for them. They're not trying to go out there and fight black people or black males. You know, if you look at these statistics over here, you know, 85% of the country is white, and people arrested by police, it's about 50-50, black and white, and people killed by police, 68% white, 32% black. So there's not a war on black males from law enforcement in this country. It's just not a reality. Don't fall for the bullshit. The media is playing that up because it gets them clicks, it gets them viewers. They want riots. They want something to film. They want burning buildings. And the Democrats, we know what they want. Whether they admit it or not, I've got friends who tell me, no, it's not our agenda at all. We're not trying to get, it's not everything to get Trump out of the White House. We just believe he's a racist. Well, you wouldn't believe that if you weren't trying to get him out of the White House. And you wouldn't be telling everybody in the world, everybody in America, hey, this guy's racist and he's causing some magically, telepathically, Trump is making the police force racist because Trump's racist. I mean, my friends are pretty smart, and this is the shit they're telling me. I'm beyond arguing with it. You know, it's stupid to a level that it doesn't justify a response. If I can say anything, my message to you is everybody who's at home wanting their job back, wanting to go back to work, knows this is all BS. They don't give a shit about this stuff. They don't even watch the news anymore. But the people who are out looting and burning buildings, they don't know. They don't get it. They've been fed this bullshit that they're living in a society where they're a second-class citizen. Who's the racists? Who's telling them that? It's not the conservatives or the Republicans. It's the Democrats and the mainstream media. The constant 24/7 message. You don't have an opportunity in this country. Everyone hates you. The cops are against you. There's white privilege. You're owed money for your ancestors being slaves. This message is destroying the black community. It's not helping it. I posted a quote on my page earlier this week. Let me find that. It says, to live in a system of free enterprise and not to understand the rules of free enterprise must be the definition of slavery. That was quoted often by Andrew Young. And it's a fact. We're raising an entire generation, or maybe 2 or 3 generations now, to believe that that they have no chance to enter the marketplace in America and to succeed, to ever buy a house, to ever have a good job. We're training them to be looters and rioters. And then we're surprised when they burn down our cities. If you have yourself trained and you go to high school and you get your diploma and you get some college and you get some training, you can actually sell your services in the marketplace and make a great living in this country. And there's millions of people who have done just that, whether they're immigrants or black or Mexican or white, it doesn't matter. That's what this country is for. That's the dream of this country. I've got friends from all over the world who came here to make money, to make a better life for themselves, and that dream is still true. It's still real. It's harder. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of things against you, and one of the things against you is people telling you you can't succeed. And if you break laws, you're going to deal with the police. That's a reality. If you want a pair of Nikes, go get trained in something so you have something to sell in the marketplace, so you have some skills that you can get paid for. Okay, you may not succeed as a star basketball player or a musician. We all have those dreams. I started down those paths as well. But at some point, you got to get some training. You got to have something to sell in the marketplace. If you don't have any goods, you better have some skills. You better have your labor that you can sell. And the more you learn, the more you educate yourself, the more you're going to be able to sell, and the more you're going to get paid. And you're going to be part of the society. And if we keep telling you don't bother, if the Democrats keep telling people in the cities don't bother, you're not part of the society. You're not part of the free market. There's white privilege. You're screwed over. You're not invited to the party. If we keep telling them that, then we're going to keep having this. We're going to keep having this ridiculous bullshit. How many more jobs have been lost after 40 million people applied for unemployment due to COVID. How many more millions of people are losing their jobs when Target stores are being burned down and small businesses are being burned down all over the place? It's absolutely stupid. And, if you're a Democrat, you need to really do some soul searching. And, it's like, it's like you're killing people to further your agenda. It's as simple as that. This is Crazy Horse. Thanks a lot.